Welcome back to Executive Vision. Tonight we're talking to some of the greatest minds in healthcare. She's a former editor of the Harvard Business Review and a noted author and journalist. Suzy Welch is here to present her leadership challenge to the panel.
Suzy, thanks so much for joining us. You heard our pretty spirited discussion there before the last break. What's the challenge you have for everyone?
Well, as leaders, all of you are keenly aware of the fact that your decisions can be life or death decisions, in that you can have a product or procedure that could go wrong. In fact, with 100,000 preventable hospital deaths a year, you can't look away from the fact that this is not any typical industry. So the leadership challenge today gets right to the point. You're the CEO of a company, and one of your products or procedures has been implicated in doing physical harm. Remember, this is not a definitive situation. It's an implication. It's suspected. You're not even sure yourself that the product or the procedure can do physical harm. You have 24 hours to get the situation under control. Your actions in the next 24 hours are a leadership challenge today. Jeff, let's start with you.
Well, unfortunately, Suzy, I have faced this, and it's in the nature of our business. The three things I want to do right away is get the facts, have a plan, and work on the communications. On the facts, I need to have my team assemble quickly, both internally and with some real expertise. Facts are everything in these situations. As quickly as possible, get the real experts, the scientific experts, outsiders if necessary, as fast as possible, learn what I need to know. In these situations, I found it's iterative. You don't learn it all right away. You need to keep on top of it, and you need outside views because sometimes the insiders are not always getting the perspectives.
You're going to have people inside who are saying the lawyers are circling, the media is circling.
I'm not interested in the lawyers. I want to get the facts for myself first, and then I can decide what to do. I also immediately, and I have faced a situation, depending on where the product is, if it's in clinical trials or it's in patients, I need to let customers know, I need the investigators, I need to let the regulators know, in our case the FDA, because if I have a product that is actually in patients, I have to let people know right away, and it may, depending on the situation, may require suspension of some activities. I've had that situation. I need a plan with a timetable, and I need to be checking in on a regular basis with that plan. We have to have external communications. That's the hardest problem of all, the external communications, because we don't know what we don't know, and it's very difficult to be telling the world what you don't know.
I hear Myrtle out there. Myrtle, you know, Jeff, of course, is a lawyer. Is he approaching this like a lawyer, or is this what a CEO should do?
No, I think Jeff is absolutely spot on. You know, when I've had situations like this as well, one of the things that can really get you into trouble is having rumor and innuendo spread through an organization and have your organization sitting in an uncertain position. So as important as it is to talk to the people inside to get the facts and to make sure that the regulators are aware and that you're protecting your customer base, you also have to pay special attention to your employees. Employees in healthcare feel a great obligation to the patient and to their company. And if you're not careful, you can have employees causing more problems or getting more concerned than they need to be concerned in the moment.
Bill, what would you do? Because you kind of dealt with this at Lytton a little bit.
I dealt with Lytton and I'm concerned about microwave radiation. I dealt with it at Medtronic and pacemaker. You've got to get out in front of the problem. You've got to get out and talk to the media. Don't hide in your office and send your PR phalanx to your lawyers out there. Get out and tell your side of the story. The toughest thing that Jeff points out is public confidence, private doubts. How do you keep the public's trust that you're doing everything you can to solve it, but you don't really know whether it's a problem or not, and you've got to get the facts. You need to buy a little time to tell people what you do know.
David, what do you do next?
In our case, I agree with everything that's been said here. You know, the key for us is getting to each and every patient that is on this drug. So I get a notice from Jeff about one of his drugs. I've dispensed these drugs to millions of people. I know every single patient that I've dispensed those drugs to. We take our call centers and our pharmacists, and we're calling all these patients, notifying them immediately, and facilitating their getting on another drug or another shipment of the same drug. So, I mean, you need, you know, leadership says, I'm also going to incur some cost here to make it right with your customer.
The cost. Now, that's where we go next. I mean, Sir William, so now we've maybe contained the cost to human health. What about your business?
Well, I'd like to come in on the cost to human health. You've got to, one thing to add is how critical this treatment is. I had a case of insulin once in Pakistan. We thought we had a contaminated batch. We're the only supplier of insulin to Pakistan. If you call that product, then you're no way treating the diabetic. On a life-saving drug, is there a way in which you can maintain supply? What's in the pipeline? and going beyond that, the patient's confidence. Because if you recall before you're certain that you need to recall, and this is a life-saving drug, you can destroy the patient's confidence. So I think there's a balance here in terms of how you sustain the confidence and how critical this drug is to the patient.
This is why you need to get the doctors involved.
I would do exactly what Jeff and David have said. It's being upfront, forthright, inform everybody, get to the patient.
And again, it comes to leadership. We're talking about leadership principles. You go in to replace a valve. The heart has 4 valves. You replace a valve. You thought about it, and based on all of your training and all of your experience, that should do it. But you did it, and it wasn't enough, and the patient died. And you should have done 3 bypass grafts on it, the same sort of thing. How do you handle that? It's a mistake. Well, then you back out about tort reform, now probably a $100 billion problem in this country. Do you come above and have tort reform, all of which I am very much for, or do you come back to a basic leadership potential of, yes, I made a mistake, or I didn't do what I could do, but I did my best, and go directly to the family and have that dialogue, have that communication. If so, I'm absolutely convinced that you wouldn't have the big lawsuits, that the patient's family would actually understand. But at the end of the day, it's a basic human, intimate leadership potential of communication, honesty, built on trust, whether it's the brands that you have or whether it's that doctor-patient intimate interaction.
How'd they do on the answers? What'd you think?
You know, what I think about is how this differentiates the healthcare industry from all other industries, the fact that this kind of conversation could happen. I'm surprised I didn't hear somebody around the table or out in space say, I'd stop the product immediately and then ask questions later. But of course, you are the ones on the front line, and maybe that would play well to the media, but it's not actually what you would do in one of these crucial leadership
insulin example was good in that. I mean, you can't necessarily stop the product because the one that's working people need. I mean, it is a little bit tougher.
And we made products planted behind people's rib cage, and you can't just recall them. You may cause more harm. But I think this whole thing, going to the family, be honest, admit your mistakes. It's very hard for executives to do. We made a mistake. And it's very hard to do, but I think you do that, you get it
by definition, our products are helping treat people. So you have to take that into consideration before you take them away.
And we'll be right back with some final thoughts on leadership from our panel.